And then here they come.
Good morning. Welcome. Welcome, Brittany, and welcome, Andrew. We are just gonna give a few minutes for folks to arrive in our space, get settled. So in the meantime, do what you need to do to enter this space, get what you need. If it's water, stretch. Here's our little slide with some suggested ways, and we'll get started in a few minutes. Welcome, Eugenio. Welcome, Felicia. Welcome, Carolina.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Mm.
We're just giving a few minutes for folks to navigate here, get settled. So take a few moments to yourself while we wait, and then we'll dive in soon. Welcome, Leora. Welcome, Tiffany and Christy. Thank you so much for being here. Take a moment to get yourself settled. We're so happy to be in community with you today. And as we allow folks to get into our Zoom space, feel free to do what you need to do to get ready to be resourced for our time together. I think I will get us started. I know folks will continue to join us in the room, but I want to hear someone else coming on in. Welcome, Chris. So, as I said, we are really, really excited to be here with you all today. We have been excited to launch this community of practice for some time now. Our time today, this is our welcome and orientation, launching the community Pathways to Student Wellness, Community of Practice. So happy that you're here. My name's Amy Blackshaw. I am a TA specialist with the STAC. I'm also the Behavioral Health Project Director at the California School-Based Health Alliance. We are going to do some deeper introductions in a few minutes, but in the meantime, if we love it, if you could drop your name and your county, your organization into the chat, your role, so folks can start getting to know one another, really. So I'm gonna do that myself. Thank you, Leora. Great, we have San Luis Obispo and Chris from Placer. Thanks for being here. Thank you, Christy from Madeira. Wonderful. And Felicia from Fresno. Let's see if another few folks are dropping in. Sarah, the grant monitor, and Eugenio from Trinity. Welcome, welcome. So continue to let us know who you are. We are today going to do a few things. We're right now sort of just welcoming you and doing our agenda overview. We're going to talk about shared outcomes and community agreements for this community of practice. We will do some purposeful community introductions so we can really start to get to know one another better. We're going to talk a little bit about the projects that all of you are engaged with and the intersections of those projects. We're going to do some breakout discussions around the community of practice. We're going to talk what's ahead, and then we're going to close out this welcome session. Looking forward to our first full session, which is in 2 weeks. Thank you all for jumping into the chat. Appreciate seeing everyone's introductions. Um, as you may have heard, we've kind of changed the name. We are now calling this group Pathways to Student Wellness, otherwise known as Other Priorities. We really wanted to find a name, thanks for your enthusiasm, Leora, that felt a little bit more strength-based, a little bit more of a better reflection of the diverse work that you are all doing. But we really appreciate you being here. And as you may know from other convenings, we are part of BHSSA STAC, which is a collaborative initiative. Is involved 3 organizations: the Center for Applied Research Solutions, the Commission for Behavioral Health, and the California School-Based Health Alliance. So we are partnering together to offer statewide training, technical assistance, really help folks have the tools and capacity and strategies to enhance the capacity for behavioral health systems in our schools. With that, I want to pause and introduce our grant monitor for Other Priorities or Pathways to Student Wellness, Sarah Weber.
Good morning. Thank you, Amy. So yes, I am a grant monitor at CBH. I oversee mainly the Phase 2 BHSSA grants. I do also happen to oversee one of the Other Priorities grants, but still super happy to be here in this space with you all and to learn from you. Our team is here to support, and we're also just so excited to support STAC and the TCTs as we launch this new COP and any other TA in all the other phases of CBH. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sarah. And yeah, thank you for those who are putting stuff into the chat and hearting and emojiing. We really welcome engagement in any forms, right? If that's through chat, through acknowledgement of things that resonate for you, through the chat or through speaking out loud. But first, we're just gonna name who are our Other Priorities grantees, our Pathways to Student Wellness. We have 11 counties represented. They're spread throughout California, Southern California, Inland Empire, the Central Valley, the Central Coast, the Sierra Foothills, and the northern region of the state. So we're really excited to have folks, hopefully from every county, participating. And we know that some of you are probably, or I know some of you are part of other Phase 4 work, and so I know there'll be intersections there as well. And that might be you personally or other folks from your counties who are involved in that work. So we're excited to really have the diversity that we do of regions and of projects here. So I'm going to ask my co-facilitators to introduce themselves. Sarah, do you want to start us off?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Sarah Smith, and I am one of the assistant superintendents here at the Tehama County Department of Education. With that, though, I started my career as a school psychologist. That's how I entered this field. And then since then have just been continuing to foster a love for developing program and really lifting our community through our community schools partnerships and our school wellness programs. And so I am really thrilled. We are a grantee. We are a 001 grantee. And so have really been in this work with you. If you have been in any other iterations of the grant and feel very I'm humble and blessed to be alongside in partnership with you today. And as we enter into this COP and a true opportunity for us to learn from each other. So thank you for having me as one of your co-hosts. We are also a TCT technical coaching team for data collection, and I will introduce or let her introduce herself to Jonelle Amaker, who's my director of student behavior and wellness.
Thank you so much. Yes, my name's Jonelle Amaker, and I too am at Tehama County Department of Education. My background is as a school counselor, and similar to what Sarah said, we have been working with CBH and a lot of you and your organizations since the early dawn of 001. We liked it so much, we reapplied in round 3 and round 4. So you'll also see us in other spaces as grantees and learners and the other community of practices as well that STAC and our other TCT families are putting on. Outside of CBH and BHSSA, we also do a lot of, intentional crossover work into other areas that I see partners on the call with community schools and all the goodness of CYBHI. So we're really hoping that in our conversations today, we can leverage and kind of bring up other areas of interest that would make attending these COPs really rich and meaningful to you. So when you're in those spaces, just think about that crossover work as well.
Thank you to both of you. And as I mentioned, I'm Amy Blackshaw. I'm from the California School-Based Health Alliance. We're an organization that focuses on uplifting and building capacity of school-based health centers and wellness centers. I'm newer to this group than Sarah and Jonelle. Excited to learn from folks here. I have spent my career really focused on adolescent health and wellness as a social worker, as a program manager, and before my current role, I led school-based health and school-based and school-linked health centers in Alameda County for about 10 years. So I'm really passionate about strengthening school-based healthcare across California, making sure every young person has equitable access to care and support. And I really love working with youth, although in my current role, I don't get to do it as much as I used to. But fortunately, my organization has a really robust youth board who helps us who guides our work. So that's really a fun aspect for me. Okay, so I'm going to move us along. This slide is really about our shared outcomes for this space, which I know is going to evolve as we get to know each other. But really, this cohort is diverse in size, geography, and approach. And we're here to engage in collaborative learning that will support the planning, implementation, and continuous improvement. And we're going to do this through a number of ways, through engaging in reflective dialogue, utilizing, exploring tools and strategies, by making meaningful connections and collaborations with one another, by centering lived and professional experience, and by asking meaningful questions. So we're really excited about that. We're beyond this intention together. We'll decide how we want to do this, and we'll explore that a little later in some of our breakout groups. But really with that goal of just helping all of us advance the work that we're doing to support well-being of young people. So, community agreements. I am very sure that many of you are familiar and have used community agreements in your convenings with adults, with young people, but we wanted to include this here because we know how important community agreements are in helping to create the conditions for meaningful learning, honest dialogue, and sustained collaboration. So just wanted you to take a look at these, think about the ones that you lean into the most or that feel the most important. If you have a favorite community agreement, feel free to drop it in the chat. For me, one of the ones that always stands out is this one on the right that says, "Say it jaggedy." For me, that's about like not holding back from contributing because I don't have a perfectly formed thought or idea. I don't always have the polished response, but I want to make sure that I'm still engaging in that community building and sharing. So when we follow these community agreements, it only makes our ability to connect that stronger. Anyone want to share what their oops uh, favorite or important community agreement is? And I think we lost our slides for a second. Speak from your own experience stands out to me. Thank you, Janelle. Anyone else? Or if there's any that you have questions about or want more clarity on what exactly that means, I'm sure folks in this room could help us, uncover. Yes, make space and take space is a great one. Any last contributions? I love the idea of saying it jaggedy because our students need that permission too. Absolutely. When we want to engage youth voice, we want to really make people feel welcome in sharing, however that comes out. Awesome. Listen to understand, not to respond. Yes, which goes hand in hand. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Okay, so with that, I'm going to pass it over to Sarah for our next part of the agenda.
Thank you. All right. So, as we always think of, I mean, for me, speaking of those commitments to each other, I'll speak for myself. Sometimes when I come into a community of practice or a space, there's all these competing pathways for me, right? I've either left a meeting, I have 14 things that I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm supposed to also be here and be present and to give. And so, one of the things that I think is really important as we embark on this journey is really building some community with that, but also I wanted to just like interject some joy. Because as much as we love being in this COP in this moment at 10:18 a.m., it's also really good to kind of start initiating and getting those things that really fire us up going, right? So, first of all, please, if you can turn your cameras on, fantastic. So that just really enriches this activity. But I want you to think about what brings you joy. And then if you take a moment, reflect on that. And then if it's something that you have in your office, if it's something that you have on your phone, something that really you connect to, that when you think about um, brings you joy, an object that might be a person. Yeah, and then if we can just all, and just for the sake of, uh, take a second and just open up the gallery view if you can, and just look at all of our partners in this work and the things that I want I'm looking, I see some animals, some pets, some coffee.
My daughter brings me joy. I'm trying to hold a picture of her.
Oh, thank you, Carolyn, for coming in and inviting yourself into this space. I love it. Lots of folks, kids, family, pets. I know. Look at my little Grant. This is my little. I want him to see. Oh, that's his other picture. Not that it's all about me, but I do have the floor right now. So look at that guy. I mean, I love all of your images.
That's so cute.
Oh, Jocelyn, what is your positive?
It's a positive potato. One of the students had given it to me.
Mhm.
It says, I may be tiny, a tiny potato, but I believe in you, so go do your thing. Yeah. It's a fluffy, like it's knitted, so it's kind of like it helps. It's just a potato, positive potato.
I love that. Janelle, I see you have an emotional support pickle with you.
I do. We exchanged emotional support vegetables last year as a team. Um, and it ends in a pun, which is also my favorite of you're a big dill. So who doesn't love a pun and an emotional support veggie?
I also have an emotional support dumpster fire someone gave me. It says it's fine, I'm fine, everything is fine, when clearly things are not fine.
I love that. Isn't that true? I absolutely. In those moments in which we find our joy, right? We know how important it is to ground and connect to those things that we can put a smile on our face. As there are lots of dumpster fires, there's a lot of challenge, there's a lot of work. We don't come to this work without there being challenges and barriers. So as we take that energy and amplify it into the next phase, I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. And this time, I'm going to ask you to do it in reflection to your project and to the work through that lens. Like take that lens now and just take a moment. And then um, we're a small group, so if you're comfortable, the more voices we have in the space, just sharing out, it can also be an opportunity for you to develop on what your project is in relation to where you're from and what county you're in. But think of it as like what brings you joy in the project and your work.
I can take myself off mute. I think for me, it's really increasing education to other people about something that I know that I'm passionate about. And so getting to share that with other people. And by doing that, hopefully getting to increase access to services for students who need it.
Thank you, Brittany. In the chat, I see elevating student voice, giving a platform, uh, being the resiliency to keep going, being able to have teachers and administrators feel supported, seen, and heard. New opportunities and pathways for youth to engage in services. Knowing that there is a team with common goals and that we can reach out to each other. Helping people understand that it's okay to access mental health services. Yeah, reducing that stigma, providing access. There's some shared common themes amongst us. Love that. What else? We're called to this work in a lot of different ways. Sometimes we are voluntold that we're going to be here. Some we've started and we've always had the vision as to where our passion was going. Um, Providing the proper resources and giving the youth message that they matter, they're not alone. Building that resiliency, those resiliency factors. Any reducing barriers for access. I love all of these, reducing barriers. Yeah, nothing like being able, when you're able to work with your team and find ways that you have reduced those barriers. You have provided those access points and entry points that look different. And through the BHSSA work, that has definitely been an area that we have found in our community, that I can just share in this space that we feel really proud about that success, and that has been something that has brought me joy. Is prior to our 001 grant, our county office didn't have a school-based mental health and wellness team. And so really, as I'm reading through all of although we are not in this grant cohort, that's something that I'm aligning with all of you, is like really that the joy and the vision of being able to provide services, reduce barriers, and lift our communities up. So thank you for that. As we venture into this over the next 4 sessions, we're definitely going to continue to align our work. I'm so thankful that the commission also, and that we had some flexibility in all changing our name. I think we were really looking at ways that we could strengthen and find a through line with the work that we're doing that felt much more intentional than other. And so I think as we start kind of building as to who we are and what our projects are, although there is this vast variance, there is a lot of alignment. And in that is our power and our strength from learning with and through the next 4 series of our community of practice. So I thank you so much for participating in that activity with us. And we are going to move into our breakouts, our next phase.
Actually, we're
Not
going to
quite
do
yet.
something
Sorry, we're
first.
gonna do intersections first. We're gonna build on that. Sorry about that.
No, no worries at all. So one of the things that's really exciting about this Pathways to Wellness, to Student Wellness grantees work, is that there is a lot of diversity in the projects that you all are engaged in. But there's also a lot of intersections that we think is really going to make this community rich with the sharing that can come from that. So this is some very rough groupings. And just to say that we have some of you who are really focused on expanding school-based access. That might be via wellness centers or other kinds of programs. We have folks whose primary focus is really around developing the workforce and prevention pathways. You can see who those counties are that generally fall into those buckets, and folks whose projects focus on strengthening coordination and response systems. But in reality, there's a lot of different ways we could have grouped this. Many of you are doing a little bit of all 3 of these things. So it's really a rich ecosystem of approaches, and that really speaks to like how much there is for us to learn from each other. But our first ask is that we have a document that we're going to drop into the chat right now, which is basically project summaries for all 11 of our counties. And this was created a long time ago by those who were first visioning the work in your county. And we know that things have changed in that time. The team who's working on it, there might have been some shifts. The partnerships may have shifted in some ways, and the actual programmatic things that you're working on may have pivoted or adapted. So we want to make sure that since we're launching this now, that we have a snapshot of where we are, sort of something that's going to reflect the current realities of the work that you're doing on the as of today. So our ask is that by the next meeting, which is in 2 weeks, you or someone from your team, if you have multiple folks from your county, that you designate someone to just update that the slide for your county so that we can share that out and folks can learn more deeply about those projects. And we'll be talking about them more specifically in future sessions. But with these groupings, we'll likely use the groupings in some ways just to cluster folks to build some deeper partnerships with those doing similar work. But we want to also not silo. We want to make sure that there's lots of cross-pollination and cross-learning. But we wanted to just show you those at this point. And yes, so I'll send it out in the slides as well, but if we can ask of you to update that slide for us, that would be great for the next session. And now we're going to pass it over to Janelle.
It's so exciting to see all the overlap. So today we will have a time, in future sessions, like Amy said, to be able to get together with grantees that are doing similar type work. Today we're going to go into breakout rooms randomly, a great chance to get to meet other grantees. We have 2 prompts that we're going to use to guide our discussion. Each room will have a facilitator, and then when we come back into our shared space, we would love to have a volunteer from each group to be able to share out any sort of ahas, or if you guys got into a tool or discussion, what type of tools you guys are using that you want to elevate to the group. And then Amy, Sarah, and myself will each be in a breakout room to help take notes, but really this is a time for grantees to connect and really think about what would make this community practice feel very meaningful and relevant, and then what practical tools would be most helpful for your work. So with that, I think we're ready to go into breakout rooms. Welcome back. I want to thank, I forget which room I was in, but thank the people in my room. We could have easily spent another 20 minutes going into these prompts. We did kind of have to we were getting into some of the problem solving already. So I love that energy and I appreciate Jennifer and Christy and Jocelyn for already wanting to support one another in that way. But I'd love to hear the other groups, and if we have a volunteer from my group, that would be great, of an idea or question or something that emerged in our time together in our breakout rooms. Feel free to unmute yourself and share with us.
I can share on behalf of our group to start us off. It's what I had shared on the first question is what would make this community or practice feel like a meaningful and relevant resource to support your work. I just what I shared was I know we always like to get together to problem solve because that's our main priority is to kind of fix the setback that we're in, but it's also an opportunity to share our successes as well. So it's starting off the conversation is like sharing a success and a setback, and in both ways we can definitely highlight how it became a success so others learn from that, and then also bring in our setbacks so we can all dive in together and problem solve together. So it's a bit of a balance, and this stems from working with students. It's like we're always tied into the problem, but we forget to highlight even the small wins and make it bigger.
Thank you for sharing that, Jocelyn. And yes, I think we can forget that sometimes. We're so focused on the next thing and how to, perfect what we're doing, that those small incremental successes that we have don't always get the recognition that they deserve, because all of those little steps add up to this really large project that we're all trying to take on. So thank you. I'd love to hear from the other two groups.
I was in group 2, I think, but I was trying to convince someone to volunteer who wasn't me. I'm going to give another second to see if anyone chimes in.
Was that our group, Amy?
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's you, Chris. Thank you, Chris.
I'll do my best. So I'm Chris Dunbar, Placer County Office of Ed. You know, I think we were just talking about a lot about resource linking. And I think we're trying to develop ways to reduce barriers, whether that's food, our partner Felicia. I learned a little bit about how they're, use funding to purchase vans, it sounds like, to help, you know, bring the resources to the people. I think that's also something, I think maybe with COVID or maybe not, but we're losing a lot of field-based services. A lot of things are online, and I think I'm really a component. I'm a supporter of just trying to get out there and start making home visits and sitting down and doing the referrals with families. So and I think to answer the question, what would make the community of practice feel like a meaningful and review resources? I brought up that I don't quite know what everybody's doing, and just hearing what they're doing and going back to sharing our stories and learning about each other's, the language of the grants and the goals would be beneficial. How'd I do, Amy?
You
Okay.
did great.
Okay.
And I'll just add that I think that, just echoing what was said earlier, being able to share what's going well and then where are those challenges, and all that, just in those 2 questions, there's can be a lot of shared learning that comes from that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Chris. And, as you guys get into the slide deck to update your program slides, we put them all in there for a reason. So feel free to take a look at the other counties, what they're working on. And if you want to make any meaningful connections, outside of our community practice, that is great too. But also, we want to provide that time within this set aside time to have you guys connect and learn from each other. That leaves one more room.
Room 1. I too am going to give a little space if anyone would like to share.
That from Andrew, Amanda, and Brittany.
Nailed it. Well, I'll just get us going, and then if there's something I'm missing, did
I
someone?
think Brittany was brave.
Hey, go, Brittany!
I was just gonna say one kind of thing that we all kind of talked about with each other was just the challenge of having the different pieces of the grant funding and working with our fiscal departments and trying to sort through all those different grant funding pieces and helping everybody understand that piece on the fiscal side, because that can be challenging. Because there's like the original piece, if you have this piece, if you have the sustainability piece, and just balancing all of those different pieces. And we talked about just kind of that experience for everyone as well.
Yeah, it's really important that everyone has that firm understanding of the program side, but then not everyone gets to see what's happening on the fiscal side as well. And I think the more that we can align those and at least get, program people involved in those conversations and get our fiscal people involved in the program conversations, the easier it'll be for both of them when it comes time to have those sustainability conversations, that they can see each other's perspectives. And our fiscal side of the house, they may know of other funding streams and programs within our organization that support similar goals that they can help us connect with. So that definitely the two worlds should not be separate from one another. So thank you for bringing that to this space. That's so important. Okay, then we're wrapping up. So we're going to start talking about what our next sessions are going to look like. So I'm going to hand it back over to Amy.
Thank you. Thank you. Yep, we're wrapping up our time together. This is a general framework of what the next 4 sessions will look like. 2 of them are this spring, and then 2 of them are not until the fall. But we're going to start in 2 weeks with the building the foundation. So really just thinking about focusing on partnerships and clarifying roles and strengthening implementation. Then in our next session, which is opening the door, we're going to talk about engagement, about how we build trust, reduce stigma, ensure that our services are welcoming and accessible. And then we will talk about from design to practice in our session 3, and exploring more about how we work from planning into real sustainable action. And then finally, sustaining the work, which we'll reflect on measuring impact and considering how this work continues and strengthens over time. And really at the bottom, you'll see the 4 S's of our journey, which is services, staff skills, structures, and systems. And the reason we're thinking and integrating the 4 S's is really because I think all of us know that strong programs don't succeed on the services alone. That really, we have to make sure that the people, that the workflows, that the larger systems are all aligned to ensure that our programs are solid and sustainable. So that's really what the next 4 sessions look like, but this is just a framework, and we know that we will, this gives us direction, but we'll iterate, we'll adjust, we'll co-create as we go based on your experiences and questions and needs, because we really, really want this to be as useful as possible for all of you. This is the link for folks to get additional TA, individualized TA from the STAC. And so please feel free to reach out. The evaluation is right here, but we're also, Stephen, can you drop the TA request? So folks know that is readily available to you. These are some of the upcoming activities from CBH, STACs, and the TCTs. So the first one is us, the Pathways to Wellness Community of Practice. We also tomorrow have our quarterly grantee collaboration meeting. That's the big meeting, and hopefully we'll see you all there tomorrow. If you haven't registered, there's the link. And then we have a webinar coming up focusing on adult allyship in school-based health. How do adults really authentically support youth leadership? We have another community of practice on weaving resources for impact. And we also have data collection office hours with the Tehama TCT, our friends here, Sarah and Janelle. So please feel free to participate in any of these offerings. We invite you in whatever ways that will be helpful. These are some of the these are peer perspectives that have been developed by our TCTs, by our technical coaching teams on different topic areas from Placer County, from Tehama, from Imperial. We really want you to be able to benefit from their experiences and expertise here. All of those are available. And the Grantee Hub. This is our Grantee Hub that has all of the information related to BHSS grantees. There are specific areas on that hub for each community of practice. We have our own, and you can see the the link here. This is where we will be putting all of the mid-session materials. So if you can't track something from an email, you can always go to the Grantee Hub and find it. But it's also available for folks to participate, to share resources, events that are happening in your region, links that you feel will be helpful to others. It's that one-stop shop. So please check it out if you haven't already. And then the feedback form, we definitely want to hear back from you so we can shape our offerings as best as we can for you. I wanted to close with a quote. Is there someone who would be willing to just read this short quote out loud? You can come off mute if you're willing.
There is no power for change greater than a community discovering what it cares about. Margaret Wheaton.
Thank you, Christy. So as we begin this community of practice, may we stay curious about what matters most in our communities and be open to what we might discover together. I'm really happy to have been able to launch our time together. These final slides are really just how to reach us. And website, email, there's even a phone number. We really appreciate you on behalf of all the STAC folks for being part of this. If there are folks on your teams that aren't here today but would benefit from being part of this community, we welcome them coming. Have them register for that first session. And thank you again. Any final words, Sarah or Janelle?
No, I would just say thank you for your time, and please do. There's a lot of moving parts between all of the grants, and we heard that a little bit today. So please do go to the hub and use the hub. When in doubt, that is the place that has one-stop shop for all of the things that have previously happened that you can learn from or pull out, and or future offerings to kind of collectively hold that for you so that you don't have to go back through your emails. But if you go to the hub, that is an area in which you can find everything that you need related to the BHSSA and our grants. So thank you for your time today. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.